order. You want to press the button? Okay, so we're live, so we'll call the meeting to order. Of course, the first item is the approval of the agenda and order of business. The only thing is when we do the water report, it's in two parts. One part Andre has a conflict with, and the second part he doesn't. So if we can separate the two parts. Anybody else have any items to add to the agenda? Somebody want to move it?
Move.
Second discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. And then I have one thing I forgot. Andrea Hislop is here with us, in case anybody doesn't know her. And she's our new municipal advisor. And she's married to one of the Hislop boys from Chester. Just so you know.
It's municipal advisor.
Huh?
It's municipal advisor.
I'll let her tell you.
Oh, okay. She don't speak, is she?
Well, she can if she wants.
I'm curious to know what a municipal advisor.
The provincial rep who advises us on municipal issues.
Oh. Replacing somebody?
Yes. Who, I forget who she's replacing at the
Go
moment.
ahead. I'm replacing Mary Lynn Hay. She's on a parental leave right now. So I was covering her term from January until July, but it's going to be extended, I think, about a month, so until August now.
So is this a provincial position or a municipal position?
It's a provincial position with the Department of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Oh, advisors. Good.
So if you have issues with the way that the province is treating us, you go to her. Only thing is you should come here first.
Yeah.
Because we may not agree with you.
I thought we were municipal advisors too.
Only in Chester. Anyway,
Can we ask her about potholes?
you can ask her. She'll direct you to the highway.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay, no public input that I'm aware of.
Nope.
Minutes of the previous meeting, errors or omissions? Motion to approve? Go.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Proclamations, none. And Sid, if we can, that's one of the, he's in a hurry. So if we could do 7.1 before we move on to the committee reports.
Sure.
Come on up.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you. So,
I think we're putting in those movies.
thank you. Yes, we are. We are. Fred was kind enough to come to the annual general meeting.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
We're gonna get 2 moorings at Squid and Birch. And I think that's it, isn't it, Fred, and Chester?
What's the six that you're taking for a permit, and what's their permit sort of?
Yes. 2 in another island, I can't remember. Anyway, thank you very much.
There's a lot of Iowa.
That's right. So it's a great pleasure to present to the best council in Nova Scotia.
You take note of that.
And I would like to tell you, give you an update on the new Shoreham long-term care and ask you for consideration at the end of my update. So here it is. It's 2 stories tall, and we're very, very happy with it. And it's been, the concept drawings have been accepted by the government in the form of SLTC, Seniors in Long-Term Care. And we're now working through the detailed design and various approvals. So there's what it looks like. And the water in the front is the little pond that's up behind the existing nursing home. So if you go to the next slide.
Any fish in it?
There may be, there probably are. So there's an aerial view, and you see how it wraps around the pond. And the parking lot, the lower parking lot is actually where the existing home is now. So this plan calls for a whole new rebuild and then the demolition of the existing building. previous plan called for a 9-phase addition. And the government said, are you out of your minds? That's gonna take 9 years. So they sent us right back to the drafting board and said, you come up with a better idea.
That's not a natural pond, is it?
No,
Why was it put in?
I think it was put in for firefighting. But that area is very wet, and I think it was very easy to put it in, but it's not a natural water course.
How deep is it?
I don't know.
Not a hazard, is
I don't know.
it? It's fascinating.
Okay,
I know it's not natural.
I can find out how deep it is.
No,
I walked by it the other day, it doesn't look like it's that deep, but I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah. But I did have it sounded once, so I think I could find out. So if you could go to the next slide. This is the overall property, showing the existing nursing home and the villas and the 2 apartment buildings that Bob Uden helped them put in. And when the government said you can't do this never-ending addition scheme, come up with a better idea, we went to the apartment association and they were very cooperative. If you see the letters on the screen, block A is a block that is currently owned by the apartment association. And block B includes all the land that the villas and the apartment buildings are on, owned by the apartment association. And block C is the long-term care land. So we decided there was just enough land on the uphill side of the pond to build the new home if we crafted it to fit that piece of land. So if you could go to the next slide. There you see the new home and the existing home both on the same drawing, which is going to occur for a short period of time. And the apartment association very kindly agreed to sell us lot A and a part of lot B.
Yeah.
And in return, we would, when we tear the old home down, we would sell them C1 and we would keep C for a parking lot. So if you could go to the next slide. There's the finished product. There's our new building wedged in between the pond and the property line with parking on the old lot C and a new lot C, which will be deeded to the apartment association. My only problem is the building just barely fits there. And if you could go to the next slide. Now, could you go back one? Yes, that's where you come in. Could you zoom in on lot A, possibly, Tara? Yeah, a little more. Bingo. You see, there is an existing 50-foot right-of-way that goes along that property line where the walking track is right now. And I'm guessing it was a future road reserve, but it's not a provincial matter. It's a right-of-way in favor of the municipality. And it wraps around, it does a very generous curve and wraps around the other, I believe the west end of the property. And it goes right through our building.
Oh, yeah.
And with the building can't come this way because of the pond. It can't get any skinnier because it's you see the 2 wings. But we do have room for a 20-foot right-of-way so that you could still have a walking path. And we would, if we disrupt the walking path, of course, we'll rebuild it. But we would like to ask you to change the 50-foot right-of-way on both sides of the property to a 20-foot right-of-way to give us room to do what we need to do.
We don't even hardly remember why we had it, but I remember us having it, but I think it was just because it was available, and just in case we wanted to put a sewer line, or just in case we wanted to put a road at some point in time.
Good. Yes, Sharon.
I'm just wondering, will that impact the paved path that Church Memorial Park had put in going from there to the
No, it won't.
existing shore now?
There might be a momentary impact that we might have to relocate it, but we will put it back in exactly the same form, so you won't lose anything.
No, because I know it's well used.
Oh, I love that path, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no, we would certainly respect that path. And the 20-foot right-of-way gives you lots of room for the path, or if you ever wanted to
Or
run
whoever needs.
a sewer line or anything, yeah.
Is that right away, Sam, you might remember, part of the old Chester Common Road Reserve? There was one that went right through it. I thought we did eliminate one of
I
those.
don't think so. There.
We eliminated one of those when the initial home was built 40 years ago.
Oh,
There was a right of way through there,
uh-huh.
49.5 foot right of way. I didn't think we eliminated it all the way back. I think we just did enough to allow them to build the existing home.
This one does connect to one that would run down to the Piglet Road, so it could have been, there was,
I'll have to check my other map. I can't see from this map, but I don't remember why that 50 foot right. Was it 50 feet, the one now?
yeah, it's 50 feet.
The other one was only 49.5.
Anyways, what's the issue? I mean, to me, there's nothing, but I'm not a lawyer.
I don't see any problem, unless, somebody pointed out a reason why we had to have it, but I don't know.
And staff looked at it and there's no existing services under there and they felt that, we could, there's a couple of different options I think we could do. And one of those options would be to acknowledge the encroachment and
Just leave it at that.
and leave it at that. The other
That won't
option
work.
is to reduce the right of way and turn on it.
The first one's not. They needed it gone to be able to build, so. I think 50 to 20, if it doesn't hurt us, that's a no brainer. We want that to
That's
happen.
easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Well, then, are we in agreement that we'll do it, provided somebody doesn't tell us something?
Probably the simplest thing is the municipality owned the easement, we would probably just convey back or release a piece of the easement to whatever association owns the land.
They released the old one and created a new
We
one.
could,
Yeah.
you could release the old one and grant it no,
That'd be wonderful.
or you could just partially release the existing one.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Well, that's just Sam and
Yeah.
staff issue to me.
There's something the simplest way to do it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion when the time comes.
Excellent.
Well, now's a good time.
Okay, I'll extinguish the existing 50-foot wide right of way, replace it with a new 20-foot wide right of way. And the location is determined by survey, so that you can accommodate your nursing.
Thank you.
Your nursing.
And Grant,
Yes,
Our nursing.
yes, that's right.
I'll be there before you.
Yeah.
So somebody would provide us with a sketch or something of the
Yes.
draft, and you base our document on.
Yes, I'll do that right away, Sam.
do we have a seconder before we have discussion?
I'll second it.
No, I'll discuss.
Sounds under.
Just wondering, Sid, if the existing pond is just probably constructed for fire purposes, why not just fill some of that pond and bring the building down a little bit out of the right of way? It seems like there's nothing about the shape of that pond, is there?
No, I'm just, that always seems to lead to trouble trying to fill in a pond.
Well, it's man-made, we nuke them all the time.
Yeah, I'd rather not, for a number of reasons, I'd rather not do it. One of them being a tree hugger, but also I think it's gonna raise a bunch of flags with a bunch of different provincial departments. Right under.
Well, I mean, you're taking wetland away.
Yeah,
Arguably, if it's man-made.
Man-made pond.
yeah, but there's a fine line, man-made becomes permanent after a certain period of time, and I'm a little nervous about that.
How many extra units are in that? Like, is this an additional capacity compared with the existing?
We're picking up 4 units. The government likes to work, I was picking up 7 units. The government likes to work in modules of 12 or 16. So we're going from 89 residents to 96 residents.
All single rooms.
Yes, it's a beautiful design there. I'm not because we did it, but because of the standards. Everybody gets a private room and their own bathroom. And they're grouped, 12 residents are together in a pod. And then there's 12 other residents and they share a living room, dining room. So it really, it's a beautiful way to do a nursing home.
Who designed it?
Dignity for the
One of the
seniors
best.
On the dignity for the seniors.
that are living there.
Yes, yeah, it'll be such an improvement over.
We got a cupola.
It has a cupola.
Yes,
I saw two.
I fought hard for that.
I like that. It really, I like the design of the building. It really fits the Chester aesthetic.
Thank you, Hunter.
What's the timeline for completion?
The government would like to have it in 2025, but that's a real stretch. I would say 2026.
Let's vote on the motion.
I just
Talking
want,
about stuff that has nothing to do.
I'm looking at the pond here, and I would assume where the sprinkler pump house is, that might be the water supply for the sprinkler system. If
Yes.
I'm looking at the plan,
I think it is.
it's right there, so I assume it is, yeah.
Yeah, we may or may not use that in the new building, but you're right. I think it is the water supply for the present one. So mucking with that in the interim might create some problem.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Go build it.
Thank you so much. You're still the best council.
We try to keep that.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Derek.
Good room.
I'm gonna put.
I'll get it.
Yeah, we should have made it conditional upon having road. We'll go visit them there.
Yeah, it's stocking the pond.
Yeah.
Okay, 6.1, committee of the whole recommendations. Anybody want anything separated? Somebody prepared to move to accept the recommendations?
So,
Discussion. All those in favor, opposed, motion's carried. Nominating committee, Councilor Rice, if you have a report.
I do. We had our meeting and we approved all the changes, approved
All the recommendations.
all the recommendations. And we're gonna re-advertise the remaining vacancies. So, it's in the report, who's on the committees. So that's what we did, and everybody's happy with them, I suppose. We were, so that's your new committee.
You gotta make a motion to.
I'll make a motion.
Recommendations.
Sorry, yeah, what's that, Alan? Sorry.
Motion to approve the recommendations.
Motion to approve the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Okay, and I have 6.3, which is motions from Recreation Parks Committee.
I don't have that report on
Here you
that.
go.
But there were two, we met on Tuesday, and there were two recommendations for funding. One for Mainsweet Burgess and the other Lauren Boone. One is in Highland Dance and the other one is in Rugby Championship. It all met the criteria, so that I would recommend that we approve the two motions, 223-311 and 223-312.
Yes, second. Second. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Okay. Well, it's a little bit early, but you guys are here. Are you ready to do your presentation? That's the Church Memorial Park, yeah, they're first on the list.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's a really low chair. Like a midget in this chair. Okay.
First.
Floor is yours.
Okay, morning. I'm Bill Church, the chair of the Church Memorial Park. And
That's kind of strange, isn't it?
yeah,
That's church meeting.
yeah, it is stranger than you think. I guess on behalf of the Church Memorial Park, I want to thank the municipality for their continued support and also for giving us the opportunity to present this morning. I'm accompanied today by Church Memorial Park Manager Tommy Graves and Trustee Amanda Quinn-Timothy. The park is, I guess, the Eleanor Pugh Morris Memorial Arena is in her 53rd year. Which is hard to believe. The building itself is pretty sound, except for the roof beams. We had engineers do detailed assessment of the glulam beams, and the results came back better than, I guess, we expected. A plan was set in place how to do the restoration, and the cost of that was more money than what we had rated at that time to do the complete restoration. So we asked the contractors to divide it into phases. So they divided it into 2 phases, and phase 1 was acceptable by both the contractor and the trustees. The trustees voted to go forward with the construction of phase 1. In fact, that phase started on Monday. It's about a 3-day process of preparing the beams, and then a 2-week process of adhering the laminate panels to do the reinforcing. So this week, this spring, we had 2 openings come available on our board, and we were very happy to welcome Dan McDougall and Amanda Quintimothy as new trustees to our board. Dan's main responsibility will be grants, writing, researching, and doing the maintenance on existing grants. And the trustees extended, I guess, an olive branch, if you want to call it that, to the group of 5, and invited Amanda Quintimothy to be a trustee on our board. Amanda's main contribution to the board is fundraising chair, organizing fundraising for the board, as well as she is our professional advisor for commercial insurance.
So thanks for having us today. I am Amanda Quintimothy, those of you who don't know me. Good morning, councilors and Warden Weber. I appreciate you having us. So first I'd like to introduce, I think there's a history that brought us to this table today, and I'd like to introduce our special interest group of 5. Some of them are here today. Ashley Walker, Chris Quintimothy, Jacob Haley, Ashley's husband, is away on travel. We have Ivan Fitch, and I guess a group advisor, MLA Daniel Barkos. And so just to give you a brief history of our group of 5 and how everything came to be is just this winter, it came together with a collective goal of building a new recreation or lifestyle facility, if you will. After several meetings, we reached a point that we're working with the CMP trustees, and we collectively want to move forward with a feasibility study. This group of 5 can be described as ambitious entrepreneurs that are keenly invested in the future of sports and recreation in our community. And they're all eager to hit the ground running to fundraise for a new facility. They are fully aware that a new facility could cost upwards of $30 million, and we want to get to work. So I think this is the brief history. We refer to our slides. Bill has already referenced the engineer report. Again, results were better than anticipated and the work has already begun. So in all of our conversations and discussions, it was agreed that the most important thing moving forward right now is to make sure that the current facility is safe and ready to continue programming if or when any new facility may be built. The programming needed to continue. So we talked about the local, the special interest group, and then the merging of interests, which brings us to here, present day. So next slide, please. It's you. Yeah, why do we want it? Yeah.
Feasibility study. We feel it's important on many fronts. And firstly, we need to, I guess it'll provide us with a roadmap for the future, so we understand, I guess, the needs. I see where I am here. Yeah, I guess the future of our facility that we have now, and possibly a planning for the new facility. And secondly, it's necessary to have a working document for the province or for the federal government. And I would imagine the municipality to understand the need of the municipality for, I guess, for recreation. And lastly, we need an independent third party to professionally assess the needs of the municipality and prepare a suggested path forward that comes from a neutral party.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess-
this is an easy one. Next slide. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this one's pretty obvious. It's a question, and it's a question that I guess brought us here, and I guess.
It's the big question.
Yeah, but that's
it's-
what we're all asking.
It's the big question, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, I guess, implications to both, but it's the big question for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide. So our research, we have researched 2 companies to get an understanding of what the feasibility study would or could look like. CMP fundraising affiliate, Ashley Walker, spoke with McKay Lyons of Sweet Apple Architects, and they prepared the feasibility study for the new rink and the blueprints for the new rink that was built in Windsor. Okay, it's the most recent, newest rink in Nova Scotia. They are available to help with the whole process and assess the community and prepare a study. They are keen to provide quote for services. The more in-depth conversation happened when I spoke with New Stadia, a company called New Stadia Rec. So New Stadia Rec manages the HRM4 pad that was formerly known as the BMO Center. And they also manage the RBC Center, as well as many others and others into New Brunswick and other provinces. So they explain that they approach a feasibility study as a multi-phase process. They start with a needs assessment. They look at industry trends and the area growth, and then build a business case. They can be available for every stage of the process from start to finish, including managing the facility when it's done. They estimate the cost of the study to be $100,000 to $200,000 and 4 to 6 months to complete. Where they have done recent studies in our province, it could possibly take less time than that. And they execute and compile all of the community engagements through the process. So our CMP Board of Trustees are already quite progressed in preparing the terms of reference, or the RFP, if you will. The group of 5 special interest community group will also be consulting and contributing to the study parameters. So we've already started those conversations and started a document which Dan McDougall and I will be putting together, okay? I think that answers everything on that side, the research that we've done. We can go to the next slide. The goals of our study. So the first point, accessibility, some topics that we would like to have addressed. And this is just a brief snapshot of what we think the terms of reference will look like. The first bullet is accessibility, inclusivity, and diversity. So we would be looking to review things such as the number of dressing rooms, and with that, gender considerations, and accommodating programs such as sledge hockey. Your bulletin.
Yeah, so sustainability, we want to look at the current operation, the building, and evaluate the future renovations and program offerings, and whether the current facility will sustain for the long term. As well as review the requirements of sustaining and maintaining a new facility.
So the wants and the needs of the community, we would, this is clearly important. We want to determine the community user groups and facility, for the facility, and the demand for their needs. Our research has shown that the consulting companies would survey the community by way of online surveys and perhaps town hall meetings, among other options. Then the financial analysis. So we need to know the estimated costs associated with renos versus new. Obviously, we're throwing out a lot of numbers. A lot of them are big, but are they, firm? They're, so we would like to have a more secure estimate on what that might look like. As well, a feasibility study of current operations, possible new programs, and new activity offerings such as a walking track and public gym. And what would the impact be to taxpayers, which I know is your most important question.
Yeah, the existing site analysis, we need to know whether the existing site can be used for a new building. Such resources as water, lot size, access, and the impact to traffic on that Big Loop Road.
Next slide. So it's important to plan for the future now. A feasibility study will establish the groundwork for a path forward that is decided by our community. There's a lot of information that we need to have a good handle on, and in order to do that is through this independent third-party study. We are proposing as the CMP Board of Trustees that we would execute that plan, that we would be in charge of managing and the tendering and procurement process of the bidders, and bring the plan forward. So in my sales experience, I'm always taught not to always ask for the business at the end of a very important meeting. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion that we can possibly consider supporting our Board of Trustees for CMP to access a feasibility study up to $200,000. Thank you.
Who pays for what?
Sorry, we're
Are you
asking,
us
are
for,
asking for the council to support the study,
to pay the loan?
to pay for the study, and we would manage and procure the bidding process.
Well, I'll only say that I think that it's a good idea to do it, as long as nobody has any preconceived notions of the outcome.
Sure, that's the third independent party.
Yeah. Because I think, it's 53 years old, you need to know whether renovation makes sense or whether it doesn't. You need to know whether a new one makes sense and what should be involved if you do build it and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm not 100% sure I'm prepared to get $200,000 with some thought. Yeah.
So might I ask Councillor Church, you represent this council and have been involved with the discussions. Just as a discussion now, because I know where I sit on the request here.
I think it needs to be done.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? What's your heart telling you? What's your gut telling you?
Oh, it needs to be done. I guess council has to decide up to how much they would support it, or if they would do the 200,000. I mean, we have available reserve that we could use. I guess it's the will of council, but I mean, it does need to be done.
So, so just to further with my comments then, and my thoughts, I'm in support of the request. I know it's a discussion, so I'm not going to put forward a motion, to be fair. I will though. But it's a discussion. I know that we've talked about it since my time on council, that this is the recreation facility for the municipality. And we all are very proud of that. And I think it makes sense that this is where the board has decided to go for the next step forward. So as Councillor Church has referenced, we certainly have monies within our wind revenues accounts, whether that would be where we'd be looking under community development or even economic development. It fits both of those, if you will. So again, to be fair, I don't really appreciate early motions until everybody has a chance. So I'll respect that.
I want it done, don't get me wrong, but just that it seemed to me that there might be other sources of funding. All that.
So I guess our commitment, and as we discussed, is that we're prepared to reach out to, depending on the results of the feasibility study and where the direction is going to go, we're looking to public funding for renos or new facility. All right. So in order to get to that point, we are asking for the help of the municipality to lay the map of where we're going. And and I guess I'm new to this process, and I just like to move forward quickly.
I certainly support doing, have my whole life, I've gone there, grandkids, and I think this is a good idea. I don't like making quick decisions. I don't think a week is gonna tell you, and give an opportunity, at least give us some thought, maybe as staff or have a look at. I thought the river, there may be some opportunities for other funding somewhere. I'm not sure there is, there may not be, but if there is, I think we should at least look at that opportunity. And maybe wait for our decision for a week or so we have an opportunity to think about it.
Well, yeah, well, like Jody or Gord or somebody tell me, is there provincial, federal funding that would help this, or isn't there, just.
I mean, that's, I agree.
Thank you.
And I think that doing that is a good idea. I've heard the arguments from both sides, and there's good arguments from both sides.
Yeah.
To have someone come back and tell us what the right move is or what they feel it is, I think it's a good idea, but I do think we need an opportunity to think about this and have a look at some other.
Well, it wouldn't be next week, you're saying the following week, but.
Well, we could
Next week,
talk
we're
about-
all, we're having some workshops. We are having council next week.
Well, we could certainly have a small council.
Oh, yeah, we can have a 5 minute meeting. Yeah, I just like staff to say, is there a way to get federal money, or provincial money, or is there not?
When will we expect to hear from you, Alan?
In the next week.
In the next week?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Question.
Sure.
Bill, well, welcome everybody. I want to hear a little more about your present project. The one that,
Present project,
just the roof you're doing?
it's the laminated beams that support the roof.
When, I think you were here before when Michael Connor gave the presentation, he was looking at funding for that.
He was asking for funding to do the analysis, the assessment of the beams. And that was performed and done. And the results came back, better than predicted. And with a plan to do the restoration and bring them up to standard code.
And that's what's proceeding. How much is that costing?
The first step that we're doing now is costing, I believe it's $357,900 plus tax.
How's that being funded?
And that is being funded by a grant that came from the Nova Scotia government.
Oh, right, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Is that?
Yeah, we funded the study for that.
You supported the study, and the province
Yeah, 'cause they
gave us
$500,000
$500,000 to do the first stage restoration.
Because in the discussion initially, when Mike was here, there was also talk about doing some other inside work to try and deal with the coldness of the rink.
That will be, I guess,
That'll be rolled into this.
rolled into what we're
Yeah.
looking for a feasibility study and what we can do for
Exactly.
correcting those issues.
I think those conversations went on hold.
Well, I
when-
know, there was a
Yeah.
lot of, just
Yeah.
trying to,
I guess we were trying to make it safe.
Yeah.
Then we'll worry about making it warm.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we all agree with that.
Yep.
We all need to know the lifespan of it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're on track to be open this season for a new season with a state facility. And then the next phases will basically follow
Depends on the
the outcome of the
It would
feasibility
probably be
study.
part of the study, but if the go forward position is a new ring, will the Pew Foundation still be involved in that?
We're not certain of that.
We're not certain of anything. And we don't want to stir the pot until we know something to tell them.
Okay, so
This feasibility study would probably
okay, but
give us the information.
presumably they would have to speak to the few foundation.
We're still in negotiations with the Pew Trust for our next 4-year term.
Right.
And we certainly know that even if a new rink is coming, we're gonna need 4 years
10 years.
So right now, we have to secure funding from the trust for the next 4
I
years.
understand it's not going to be built tomorrow.
And
No.
I think just with the name on the building, we would certainly have to negotiate with the Pew Trust what going forward with the new facility and how we're gonna deal with that.
And just on your preliminary, because you've been talking with us for a while, I appreciate that, but is there a sense that it could be built? So I'm talking new rink now, if it was a new rink. There would be room on this existing site, or would it have to be a new site? Is there any sense of where it might be?
That's part of the feasibility study, to
Yeah,
see if,
that's,
there is appropriate land to sit it on the existing site, and to see if there, the site would be appropriate for traffic wise, whether there's a water supply, and et cetera.
And are you talking about, when you're talking about a new facility, it's a possibility, a new curling rink as well?
Yes.
Or would it be the double?
Yes.
Cable facility?
Yes.
Maybe a different configuration possible.
Yeah, and it may be expanded depending on the outcome of the
Yes.
study.
I agree. There's, at this point in time, there's no intention to take away programs or offering of facilities. It would be only to add to it with things such as a walking track and a gym and office space. And it's very unclear at this point as to whether the current site is the right spot, if it will sustain it, and that will all be asked in our RFP.
And when you're putting your RFP out, are you suggesting a pool as well? Or
That hasn't been discussed, and I guess if the council wants to recommend that. we
I don't
can-
think anyone wants to recommend that.
Well, that's what you're going to the public for, is to find.
That's right, and it may be, there may be an open-ended question on some of these surveys that says, what would you like to see? And then
So the RFP would be prepared by,
we're proposing our trustees, the CMP Board of
is
Trustees.
that something we're paying for? We want some input in that.
Well, we're not paying for that, no.
The RFP,
No,
Well, I don't,
well, we're asking for the council to fund the study. So, and we're proposing that we would facilitate the procurement process, the tendering process of which consulting group does the study.
that's all the stuff we're gonna think about
yeah, and
next
I
week.
think we need to talk to staff about that, how they would be involved.
Yeah, Andre,
We may need 2 weeks, by the way.
well, it's possible, we'll let them know. Andre?
In short, I think feeling the body language of the room and my own thoughts is, I think in general, I think there's consensus, unanimous consensus here that this is important, we need to do this. At some point, you're gonna get support, financial support from the municipality. The issue is that we spend a lot of time preparing budgets and these sort of things, and a $200,000 ask is a lot. We can't just usually, unless it's an emergency, we don't just write a check for that. And what I'm hearing is that the repairs to the existing facility are taking care of the urgent nature of your request. So the only reason why we would do this today is because we want to continue to support the enthusiasm of your group. It's not because the thing's going to be not there next year. So for that reason, we need to take some time and just see what else we can do, because $200,000 for us is a lot. So I don't think you're going to get a check from us today, but it doesn't mean you're not going to get support. I think reading this group that I know pretty well, you're going to get support. Just we're going to want to check some things first on our own before we write you a check.
Well,
That's just good business.
Yeah, and we need some time to think about it. Do we think that there should be some changes made in the approach, whatever?
And normally these facilities are multi-governmental supported facilities. And so we have friends and other layers of government that may also want to contribute and all that stuff. So In short, we need to check a few boxes before we write the check for $200,000. It's just that we spend too much time doing budgeting work and not think about that stuff.
Adele,
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I guess I'll just echo, I think they're gonna have the support from here if, but my question is, when you write the MOU, and I know you guys are gonna do that, it's gonna take a process. There's so many things to think about. Derek brought one, pool. Is it gonna be multi-purpose? There's a whole raft of questions that you think you got it covered, and then, because we've done studies and over the years, and just since I've been here, which is 6 or 7 years, that once the study's done, the questions weren't answered. So I think it's very important that that's a very thorough process on your behalf. But other than that, as I said, I mean, we're gonna, but we have to explore it. I think at the end of the day, you'll have support.
Yeah, we would certainly call on the council's experience with that process. That would.
yeah, there were just some boxes we didn't check around on. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have a thought, going forward, keep in mind, if I remember correctly, I think the current, board, trustees, whatever, I think you're pretty much tied to the location you're in now, based on, the deed and whatnot. So if the feasibility study said, yes, you gotta get a new site for all these different reasons, you probably have to start thinking, well, okay, what entity is gonna own it and run it?
Absolutely, it changes everything.
Changes everything, yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, if you finish, and I, sorry, I forgot to mention this, and you might look at the same sort of model that, you weren't here maybe for the presentation from Sid to Merrick about the new Shoreham facility, and that's, they're gonna build it, and then here they go with that. I mean, that's something that may, that'll be part of it, so hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Assuming it's in a different location.
Well, that's right, if it's gonna be an
Sure, if
application.
they're changing location, they can do that.
Yeah.
They may not have the luxury of doing that. in this
Yeah.
site.
That's right.
There's a lot of questions.
Just a lot of
Questions. How
questions.
is part of the building usable and part of it isn't? Multitude of things.
Just, if I can ask one more question.
Yeah.
Just with respect to the lifestyle center in Bridgewater. Which, when you talk lifestyle center, that's where
Absolutely.
my understanding is they have a special assessment on their tax bills for the lifestyle center.
They did have, they did have it.
It was not permanent, it was just
Hey, Tina.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna wrap her up.
Sure, certainly. So just remind me again, council, what was the cost of the feasibility analysis that we supported? What was that investment for?
56, I think it was 60. I think it was 60.
So, yeah, so I was just trying to do a comparison to the request today, if you will. So that was a 60 in terms of a study, so that's good to know. I have a question, and also too, I want to reference, Andy, you had made some comments around what you might be looking for, what group might be looking for in terms of a needs analysis, the industry trends, area growth, building a business case. So I took note of that, and I think absolutely those individuals that you've reached out to, 100%. I mean, the path forward, as you've identified it, you ticked all the boxes, for me anyway, right? So I want to thank you for being here, first off, and I do want to take the time, since you are here in front of me, to ask if I can, Bill, you mentioned about 2 new board members joining the trust, if you will, Dan and Amanda, of course. I did see, I believe through social media, since the spring, when you mentioned 2 new members that joined you, that you were looking for new board members. Are you still short of board members at this point in time?
We're in the process of recruiting board members, yes.
Okay.
We believe we need 1 or 2,
Okay.
depending on feedback from the people we've contacted.
Okay, okay, thank you for that answer. And again, it's no secret here, also that I've been curious and interested, keenly interested, sincerely interested in when your AGM is going to be held.
Our AGM will be booked when we have our year-end finances done. We have, the accountant has our book work now, and then when the accountant's finished, they send it to the auditors. When we get the auditor statement, then we book the AGM.
Thank you for that.
And I'll just speak to that quickly. It was a conversation at our meeting on Tuesday night that we were going to put pressure on that accountant because they seem to be slower than typical.
Slower
than normal.
Yeah.
Struggles of nonprofits and
Yeah.
volunteers, yes.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and I appreciate what we will hear in the next, hopefully, week from staff around the research to other potential sources of funding. My concerns in terms of my knowledge would be is that the deadlines for traditional funding, provincially and federally, may not check these boxes. I didn't say that we won't find success though, Alan, or Gordon Weber, sorry. So I'm keenly interested in that as well, and I hope that we all have a win there in terms of in the next week, right? So, yeah,
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
Hey, Julia Larry.
Oh, good job, man.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, Ward Member and councilors. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here. I've been sitting driving, so I think I'll stand if it's all right with you.
Stand up.
Yeah, time to stand up. Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you also for the funding for our New Ross Christmas Festival that we were granted. This is our 30th anniversary for our Christmas Festival. I've recently taken over as the chair. In the past, my husband and I, both retirees of Nova Scotia Power, we participated for 15 years, bringing the bucket truck and helping to decorate the tree. So it was a little bit of a natural fit when we retired and moved to our cottage land a year ago. So I'm really happy to be here and talk about what we're doing for Christmas Festival. But I'd like to start with a video.
Okay.
Yes.
Christmas tree production is a staple industry in Nova Scotia and Canada.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Stand wasn't good.
Don't worry, that's all it's for you. There it is, that's it. Yeah. Okay. This is more magical.
One Christmas Eve, many years ago, high above the coast of a place called Nova Scotia, something truly magical happened. I didn't notice at first, but before long, that special place was impossible to ignore. And so I sent the North Pole's very best to care for this magical forest.
There's Marty.
It wasn't only trees that needed tending. You see, true Christmas magic comes in all shapes and sizes. You can find it in the unmistakable scent of the perfect Christmas tree. But you also might find it in something much smaller. And even today, in every Nova Scotia balsam fir, you can search for that perfect bit of magic to bring Christmas home.
And I just noticed the date, we're like just almost 6 months exactly from Christmas. I also want to thank Wanda and Marty for joining me today.
waiting for summer.
Well, I thought you might be feeling more like Christmas. I know it's kind of not that great. So this is a video that was produced by the Christmas Tree Council of Nova Scotia a number of years ago, I think probably just before COVID. And it never really got launched. So we decided this year at our 30th anniversary that we are going to launch the video. It will be part of our Christmas festival as well. We have a Dalhousie costume studies prof that's going to make twig for us. So we're going to have a real twig, and he'll be making special appearances throughout the summer and fall as we lead up to Christmas festival. And Marty and Wanda are building Twig's house at the top of Ruby's Trail. Wanda's building Ruby with help. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty spectacular 30th anniversary. We've got a lot of things planned, from having the East Coast carolers come this year to celebrate with us. And we want to extend the festival area to include our fairgrounds. So I'll be presenting to that group next week just to talk to them about that. So having things like a Christmas tree decorating contest and wreath making and food, and I don't know if the rink will be ready, but a lot of things that we have going on. And we just wanted to come and share with you today what we're doing with the gift of money that you've granted us, among of other things, and a lot more advertising this year than in the past. We'll be doing some Facebook ads and pushing it out. I have a seat at the South Shore Tourism Council, compliments of the Regional Development Society. So with that, that gives us an email to 30,000 emails and a lot more advertising. So we expect, I don't think it's a small expectation to think that we might double our attendance this year. That would be my wish. So I wanted to just come and share that with everybody. It's the first weekend of December, first full weekend. And come by for a tree laying on Friday night, and come and see stuff that we're doing on the weekend. Yes, Mrs. Tina.
So just to maybe just, I know we're talking Christmas festival, but the fact of the Social Tourism Cooperative and the excitement that they have indicated around Twig, and the fact that this council does support the Christmas crawl. Christmas crawl, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's called a Christmas crawl. Yeah.
We've done that before here in terms of, so I know that they were excited to hear about Twig, I believe. And the partnering up, if you will, of Lucy the Lobster.
Yes, we did talk about, we might do a little, Twitter meet between Lucy and Twig, and have Twig be the
mascot. So that links, of course, even to a greater extent, the inland part of our municipality with the South Shore and the efforts that they're doing. So I think that on its own is very exciting, because, and we don't know what that's going to bring. I think it's unmeasurable at this point in time. One thing, if I could mention, is that Judy also is doing, this is Grum in terms of Twig, the Blue Button campaign, and just the movement around real trees and where they originate and how they grow, and the joy, the beauty of our natural environment. So the Christmas Tree Council has been overwhelmingly supportive, and that, of course, is a provincial council, and that again is testimonial and a measurement, if you will. It's kind of getting us back, if you will, in New Ross, back to the roots, the origins of the New Ross Christmas Festival, and that was around the balsam fir and why we are doing what we are doing. And I can say why we, because I was involved with that 31 years ago to lead into the 30th anniversary. Judy is also writing herself, has written, and will be doing a book launch, children's book. And it's the story of Twig to a certain extent, and where he lives in Nova Scotia, without mentioning the community name, because it's a provincial mascot. But the indicators within the book, I believe, will point in the general direction, because again, we all know our communities, and we know the kind of the facilities and the talking points within our community. So that on its own, I know that I've linked in with the Social Public Library around doing a book reading, and I know that the schools, I think, would fully embrace the book reading as well, I would hope. But I just think it's darn exciting. And I know too, well, I don't know that I should speak to this because there's a professional in the room and he will, I might get it wrong. But I've just heard recently that with the International Christmas Tree group, that they will be coming back to Nova Scotia next year. Next year, is it?
Yeah, the American Nationals.
Right, not international, it's only American. It's not international, it's American.
That's it.
Yeah.
The
Well, I was
American.
just gonna ask you about, you said the blue initiative, I didn't.
Oh, blue button. I'm
Blue
sorry.
Blue buttons,
I
yeah.
said blue, okay, I meant blue button.
Okay, I didn't, because it was in the video, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what that was about.
We're gonna incorporate, we want to incorporate blue buttons into our Christmas festival as well. So they'll have like a newross.ca.
Okay.
So we're gonna incorporate that and utilize that in our festival as well. But it's funny because at the Christmas Tree Council, when they found out we were making a twig, they want twig to make an appearance when the American Council comes to town, so.
And they will be incorporating within that visit, which is here on the South Shore, visit to our trail network in New Ross. Absolutely 100% Twigs Home will be part of that trail network. We'll start with Ruby Spot and Marty and Wanda here. But I believe it was the discussion started around the fact of the success story around a working Christmas tree farm and a community open to the public trail, multi-purpose trail. So all of those partnerships and opportunities to see how it can be done in a community. So yeah, sorry, thanks Judy for letting me talk.
Andre? I just.
Soaking it all up.
Well, thank you very much for having and sharing all that.
It was my pleasure and
This will be exciting.
it will be, it's gonna be amazing.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your time and everybody have a happy Canada Day and
Yay.
hopefully you don't grow mold.
We're taking a 10-minute break.